So, ladies and gentlemen, we know that Jim Crow Joe has selected Ketanji Brown Jackson as his nomination to the Supreme Court. Now, I know everybody has talked about, her husband, where she is married to Zaddy, and I'm not going to go down that route in this particular commentary. I think enough people have done that, but I want to focus on her decision that came out of Lockheed Martin. But the one thing I will say to talk about the Zaddy thing, just here for a second. Naturally, women will submit to whatever man they're with. And when it comes to men in the sense, especially men outside our community, especially as a black man, what I've noticed in my life of living, that men of other groups, feel a certain way. Not all, but I've definitely seen some about us as black men. And what I have noticed about the Zaddies is that when they get with black women, remember what I said before, that women submit to their men. Normally, that's how it usually is. Usually the Zaddies have some sort of insecurity about us as black men. So what you'll see sometime with some of these, not all, some of these sisters with the Zaddies is that they got to make sure to let Zaddy know that I'm not going to go back to black men. I feel like you feel about those brothers. So sometime what you will see is, some of those sisters will actually be more of a white supremacist in blackface, more than what a Karen would be. Because they got to reassure Zaddy that she will not go and, turn her back on him to be with and defend black men. That's just really what that is from what I've seen. Now, is that all that I've seen in my lifetime? No, it's not all. But when people like Jim Crow Joe selects you for something, knowing his history of anti-black racism, I'm probably going to lean on what I just said about this particular woman. Now, let's get to why I'm leaning on that, because this particular case that we're going to look at here, and you clearly see the headline that a black federal judge had asked Jim Crow Joe not to tap Ketanji Brown Jackson for the Supreme Court. Now, they say the first black federal judge in Alabama sent a letter to Joe Biden asking him to pass over the leading contender for the U.S. Supreme Court. Now, U.W. Clement is a former state lawmaker who served as a federal judge in Alabama from 1980 to 2009, petitioned the president not to consider Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson for the vacancy that will be filed upon the departure of Justice Stephen Breyer later this year. Of course, we know that he'll be retiring in June. Now, Jackson, who had been a front runner for the seat, currently sits on the federal appeals court in Washington, D.C. Now, in a letter, Clemens said that there were several exceptionally well-qualified black female candidates for Supreme Court, but expressed a desire to see Jackson out of the contention for the nomination. Now, the retired judge pointed to the case of Ross versus Lockheed. It's a 2016 class action lawsuit brought forward on behalf of 5,500 black Lockheed Martin employees as the basis of his opposition to Jackson's potential nomination. Now, see, they didn't talk about this brother at all. They didn't even mention the brother in the news. See, I told y'all, what y'all have to pay attention to is the white media is the mouthpiece of white supremacy. They're not about bringing out truth. They're not trying to point out and get some justice. They're not trying to do any of that at all. You understand? They're about towing the line. No matter what political side they're all about towing the line for white supremacy. Now, it would have took just 2 seconds, which it literally took me 2 seconds to do some research and see what people was actually saying about this woman outside of us on the black media here. Now, Jackson presided over a case, and Clemens said in that letter that the judge failed to greenlight the settlement that was reached which was to disperse $22 million to employees. Says she refused to approve the settlement because, in her view, there were no common factual questions. Now, at this Lockheed Martin plant that these brothers and sisters worked at, they were subjected to the N-word all the time. They had literally open white supremacists running around those facilities. They even had a shooting at one of the plants in Mississippi where this open white supremacist at the time was saying how he was going to harm and kill black folks, and he actually did it, okay? This was a culture of white supremacy in Lockheed Martin, which they are a defense contractor of the United States military, okay? So this is somebody that the U.S. government had worked with, this particular company, Lockheed Martin, and sister girl Ketanji here, that's married to Zaddy, says she refused to approve the request for settlement because, in her view, there were no common factual questions. Now, how do you do that? How? Right? But she's supposed to be the first black female judge. Like I said, he's basically picking Clarence Thomas in the dress. So it continues here, Judge Jackson gave the axe to the settlement designed to benefit black workers, and one of the nation's largest employees says they denied the injunctive relief agreed to by Lockheed Martin that they would have addressed a root cause of systemic racial bias that could have been a model for a nation hungry for racial equity solutions, denied the black workers the right to seek evidence to prove their claim of company-wide racial discrimination, and knowingly frustrated the rights of black workers to appeal her decision. So Lockheed Martin agreed to say, okay, look, we're going to go ahead and pay $22 million. We are cool with it. Go ahead. They just need to sign off on this. No. Sister girl, Plantation Mammy, because that's what she is at this point, Plantation Mammy decided to say, I'm not going to give $22 million to black people that are supposed to look like me, you know. Oh, when I see her, oh, she just looks like me. And oh, I'm so inspired. Oh, it's black girl magic. Oh, right. So this is what Black Girl Magic decided to do. This is what Black Girl Magic decided to do. This is the Black Girl Magic that Jim Crow Joe wanted around him. But look at his vice president. His vice president had a history of locking up black parents and laughing about it, keeping black men in jail that were supposed to be released because who's going to clean the jails? You know, I got to keep them. Even after the judge say she needs to release these people, she still was doing it. See, this is the track record of Jim Crow Joe with these sister girls, right? They got to make sure to hurt and harm black people to be around him. When I told y'all the other day that Jim Crow Joe is the most racist president that we've had in recent times, I meant that. Because look at the people that he's picking. Now continuing. Clement, the brother, provided an additional warning intended to buttress his opinion of Jackson's potential influence on the court. He said, and I quote, each of these considerations standing alone is a bell sounding the alarm that if Judge Jackson appointed to the Supreme Court, simple justice and equality in the workplace will be sacrificed. Why isn't this being reported all over the place? You got a black former federal judge warning that this woman is not going to do nothing for black folk to help you, because look at her freaking track record of black people already. This is why Jim Crow Joe selected her, ladies and gentlemen. This is why, because she's anti-black. Once again, she is Clarence Thomas in a dress. So when Clarence Thomas go away from the court, that's all right. They already got their Plantation Mammy sitting right there on the court. They're good. One of the best things that could happen is that woman don't get confirmed at this point. Now, Clement, they say, is listed as counsel at a class action law firm. It said Murphy and Skelet. It said, which is argued on behalf of, complainants. It said the White House in a statement pushed back against the characterization of Jackson in a letter. Said it's because of Judge Jackson's experience in the roles at all levels is of the justice system, her character and legal brilliance that President Biden nominated her to the D.C. Circuit Court. They wish she earned her third Senate confirmation, and he's very proud of that decision. So yeah, they wanted to push back against what was being said, right? They didn't want that to get too much traction. Now they said before Jackson confirmed to the Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia, she was endorsed by the AFL-CIO. This is the largest federation of unions. It said when Breyer announced last month that he would step down from the Supreme Court at the end of the current term after 28 years on the bench, Biden, of course, reaffirmed his 2020 campaign pledge and nominated the first black woman to the body. It said some of the leading candidates, they talked about, which he did not pick. I'm gonna tell you about this. Is Judge J. Michelle Childs of South Carolina. Now, old Clyburn, that's what he wanted, and actually Lindsey Graham, the Republican too. He wanted this lady, Judge J. Michelle Childs, and he did not pick her. I thought that was very interesting because he's always talking about bipartisan support and all of that, and you had Lindsey Graham saying he would be cool with her, and then old Clyburn, and he still didn't pick her. I say, that's interesting that he didn't do that. But he picked old Ketanji here. This is who he picked. Now, this is what you about to get on the Supreme Court. So black people bring a case all the way up to the Supreme Court, even though the trajectory of the court, she's not going to really affect it any because she be just another liberal on the court. It's still 6 conservatives, so every liberal could go one way and every conservative can go another way. Now, I don't believe that really if you're picking people, it shouldn't be based on political affiliation. I don't really believe it should be based on that, but you got to look at a judge's track record, and her track record says for black people, at least, is that she does not agree with you. Well, and it goes back to what I said in the beginning. If she's with Zaddy and she has to submit to Zaddy and make sure Zaddy's okay, and even though you have some of those people in that community, for sure, they don't have to be, I told y'all, to be a white supremacist, you don't have to be in the freaking Proud Boys. All you have to do is just believe that you're better, that you should be in charge on top, that you should rule everything, and no one else should. I can imagine what some of the comments go on around her, just based on just what this brother's warning about, and just based off that decision alone. Like I said, it was so disgusting, the white supremacy and Lockheed Martin against our brothers and sisters. And this plantation mammy sat up here and messed off the settlement for black people. See, like I said, this man here I'm telling y'all, the track record of this man is so anti-black. And then, you still got these emotional, and I always say emotional black people, still crying every time I mention something, about crazy Trump, and I just mentioned a fact about him they never could debunk when I say he really didn't put no policies together to harm black people. He really didn't. He wasn't cutting checks out to all these other groups. And nobody wasn't getting checks like that. I'm cool with that. If because I told y'all my attitude, like if I ain't getting it, I don't want nobody else get it either. If you getting it, I need to get it too. I'm a big believer in we need to push for and act like other groups for a change. And I'm always going to push that on black people. Think about ourselves. That's it. Other people, well, that's their business because that's how they treat us. But we're the only group that they'll pick people that'll be against our own people. I mean, like I said, just a straight, from what I'm seeing here, so far, and what I'm hearing and what I'm not, just the vibe that lady gives, man. Like I said, they picking a plantation mammy. And of course, you got the ski-wees and all the rest of them all excited about this plantation mammy. Excited about it. Well, what are you excited about? What are you excited about? She has a track record. She's not gonna do nothing for black people. So what are you excited about? I don't get that. Y'all act like y'all act like animals in a cage. You get excited about a little treat or toy. And say, "Oh, look what I got for you." and you're jumping around excited. I mean, like I say, y'all still haven't learned. Y'all still haven't learned. You know, I sometimes I hate the embarrassment that we have in our community. I hate it because we're the only group that get excited about a freaking look, I got a black person that look like you, but they're gonna work against you. They're a snake, they're a devil. But hey, look, in other groups, they don't put that in their face. They don't say, hey, representation matters. No other group says that but you. You know what other groups say? We need somebody to do something for us. That's what we need. Period. And if they look like me, okay, they better do something for me. You don't hear other groups being against their own group. You just don't hear that. You go show me the other groups that just so against their own people like that, especially when the racism was blatant like it was at like Lockheed Martin. Once again, Lockheed Martin was cool with doing $22 million. She messed it off. She hurt and harmed black people. She did it. She did it. And why did she did it, ladies and gentlemen? Because once again, and I quote, she refused to approve the settlement because in her view, there were no common factual questions. That's what she chose to do. She didn't care about the N-words being used. She didn't care about any of that. How black people were treated, the hostile working environment. No, not sister girl here. Nope. So yeah, that's what you're getting on the court, ladies and gentlemen. Plantation mammy, Clarence Thomas in a dress. This is your black girl, a black woman on the Supreme Court. Jim Crow Joe, he's batting 1,000. He sure know how to pick them. He know how to pick them very, very well, ladies and gentlemen. This is why y'all need to stop asking them folks for anything. You asking them folks to give you something like that. If they picking them, once again, if they pick them, they're going to pick a shucking and jiving raccoon. That's who they're going to pick, male or female. Why are you constantly asking them to pick something for you? No, you supposed to select the people. You say, this is the person we want because this person comes from the grassroots. This person comes from the soil. We know who they are. You tell them who you want. You don't sit up there and say, hey, just pick somebody because they're going to pick the worst of the worst. They're going to pick Steven from Django. They're going to put him on the Supreme Court. That's who they like. I mean, I ain't learned nothing by now. So not now if she's confirmed, you're going to have, Plantation Mammy and freaking Steven, up there on the Supreme Court. That's amazing. And then Clarence Thomas' wife, she's a freaking Karen all the way around. Shoot, that woman crazy. That woman is hella crazy. That's amazing to me how they pick them. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you once again for joining us on the podcast this morning. We greatly appreciate your time. Make sure you hit the subscribe button so you know exactly when we post another podcast here to our podcast channel. And make sure you click the like button. That way can help us get this thing in the algorithm and spread this thing around. Let 5 people know that, about the podcast. Spread it old school way. And if you like the show and you greatly appreciate it, consider, donating a love offering. Love offerings are greatly appreciated. We thank you very much for that. And once again, thank you for listening and see you next time.